Call it luck, call it a smash and grab, call it whatever you want. But looking at this picture right here, it just feels so damn good. Guys, we've got an absolute chameleon of a manager. One who can coach dominant 4-0 and 5-0 wins, but also dig in deep, set up a rock-solid low block, and punish teams on the counter. Now let's not get ahead of ourselves and call this a tactical masterclass from Arne Slot. Truth be told, PSG were the more dominant side for most of the game, and if not for Alisson standing tall between the posts, the result could have been very different. But credit where it's due. Slot made the right substitutions and tactical tweaks at just the right moments, giving us a crucial advantage heading into the second leg. So if you missed the match or just want to break down exactly how we pulled off this heist against PSG, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and let's dive into the analysis. As expected, there were no surprises in the starting lineup. Slot went with his strongest 11. Alisson, our undeniable man of the match, started in goal with Andrew Robertson, Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, and Trent Alexander-Arnold forming the backline. In midfield, Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, and Dominic Szoboszlai took charge, while Luis Diaz, Mo Salah, and Diogo Jota led the attack. Heading into the game, we all heard Arne Slot acknowledge PSG's man-to-man pressing approach in his press conference. And just like you, we were eager to see how he planned to handle it. Turns out, his strategy was simple. Avoid getting trapped while playing out from the back at all costs. Instead, the focus was on bypassing PSG's press entirely by going long, targeting our frontline players, and fighting for the second balls. This graph right here says it all. Alisson consistently went long with an average passing length of 41 meters, making sure we didn't get caught in dangerous areas. You can see this approach right from our first goal kick of the game, where PSG went man-to-man across the entire pitch. However, instead of Alisson taking the goal kicks, it was Van Dijk who stepped up, launching long balls over PSG's press and into dangerous areas. Even in settled play, PSG stuck to their outer possession shape, setting up in a 4-3-3 to match our midfield trio. The moment one of our centre-backs received a pass, their press was triggered. One of their fullbacks would push up aggressively, while a centre-back shifted wide to cover the space left behind. This constant pressure was meant to suffocate our build-up, but Slot's plan ensured we had a way around it. The matchups created when we went long were not in our favour. Diaz had to battle Marquinhos, Jota was up against Pacho, and Nuno Mendes stayed close to Salah, making it difficult for us to win aerial duels or even challenge for second balls. PSG had the clear advantage in these situations, both physically and positionally. The absence of a true number 9 who could consistently disrupt two strong centre-backs made things even tougher. Without that presence up top, our long ball approach had its limitations. You can see here how PSG dominated in nearly every dueling aspect, making it harder for us to gain control in those moments. Believe it or not, that was pretty much our entire in-possession approach. We didn't try to bait PSG's press or play risky passes into the pivot. Instead, we stuck to going long at every opportunity. While this tactic did eventually lead to a goal after Slot's adjustments, which is something we'll break down later, it clearly wasn't working in the first half. We created almost nothing going forward, and this, combined with our outer possession setup, allowed PSG to take complete control of the game early on. When it came to pressing from goal kicks, we used a hybrid approach. Some players focused on covering specific zones and marking opponents, while others had dual marking responsibilities. However, this is where Luis Enrique threw in a curveball. Vitinha started dropping deep to collect the ball directly from Donnarumma, which disrupted our pressing structure. On the surface, this meant PSG had fewer players positioned higher up the pitch during build-up, but in reality, it gave them an advantage. First, it ensured that Vitinha, one of their most press-resistant players, was always involved, helping them progress the ball under pressure. It also reduced Donnarumma's involvement in build-up play, which was a smart move considering he isn't the most reliable ball-playing goalkeeper. By doing this, PSG minimized their risk of making costly mistakes in deep areas. Vitinha's deeper positioning also forced Jota to push up, leaving Ruiz as a free man in midfield. This This created even more confusion for our players responsible for dual marking, making it harder to maintain our press and allowing PSG to dictate the tempo. You can see a perfect example of this here. Szoboszlai was occupied with marking Ruiz, and once Vitinha found the outball to Mendes, the gap was simply too large for him to close down in time. That gave Mendes the space to drive forward, using his strength and pace to break through. Believe it or not, our high pressing wasn't even the biggest issue, because outside of goal kicks, we didn't actually press that high. Instead, we defended in our usual 4-2-4 mid-block, which constantly shifted as Szoboszlai and Diaz dropped into midfield to track the movement of Ruiz, Kvaratskhelia and Dembele. But even with these adjustments, it still wasn't enough. PSG's fluidity and constant positional rotations allowed them to manipulate our pressing structure and create overloads. In this example, you can see how they alternated between a 3-1 and a 3-3 build-up shape, with Vitinha and Neves frequently interchanging and finding pockets of space to receive the ball. Here's another example. Vitinha drops into the backline, creating a 6-against-4 overload, with Dembele and Kvaratskhelia moving between the lines and Diaz needing to tuck inside. PSG found a way to progress the ball through wide areas with ease, and this is where they really started causing us problems. Even though we largely prevented their wingers from getting into one-on-one situations, players like Dembele and Kvaratskhelia have the dribbling ability to navigate through tight spaces. As a result, PSG managed to take 12 shots in the first half, 6 of which came from inside the box, highlighting just how much control they had in those opening 45 minutes. Fortunately for us, Alisson was simply unplayable on the night. He single-handedly kept PSG from scoring at least 2 goals, pulling off incredible clutch saves against Dembele, Barcola and Kvaratskhelia. Without him, this game could have gone in a very different direction. As we headed into halftime, we were all praying for Arne Slot to work his usual magic and make the right tweaks. Thankfully, the Dutchman did not disappoint. Instead of sticking with the 4-2-4 shape out of possession, Slot made a key adjustment by pulling Diaz further back, effectively placing him as a left back and forming a back 5. In fact, you could even call it a back 6 at times, with Gravenberch staying close to the defensive line. This shift allowed Robertson to step into midfield and track Dembele's movements while Diaz stayed tight to Hakimi, ensuring we kept our numerical superiority at the back. Since we weren't pressing high with numbers anyway, it made perfect sense to bring more players back and lock things down. With Jones and Endo coming in, we started limiting PSG's chances. The difference was clear. After generating 1.42 XG in the first half, PSG managed just 0.41 XG in the second. With more bodies in the box, we forced them into taking less threatening shots from outside the area, reducing their ability to create high-quality chances. And then came the final substitution of the night with Salah making way for Harvey Elliott. Some might have questioned the decision at the time, but in the end, it was yet another example of Slot knowing exactly what he was doing. Darwin, who had come on earlier in the second half, finally gave us the physical presence we had been missing all game. And with him up top, our long ball approach from deep areas finally worked. Alisson, our undisputed man of the match, called for the ball in this sequence, almost as if he knew his long pass was about to create something special. And he wasn't wrong. Darwin did brilliantly to time his run, staying onside before using his physicality to battle Marquinhos and come out on top. After collecting the ball, he showed great awareness and composure, laying it off perfectly for Elliott, who made no mistake in delivering the dagger in the dying minutes of the game. Sure, it wasn't always pretty, and at times it felt like we were just holding on for dear life, but in the end, we walked away with a massive win. A performance built on resilience, last-ditch defending, and, of course, a world-class display from Alisson Becker. Arne Slot might not have outclassed Luis Enrique tactically over the full 90 minutes, but he made the right changes when it mattered most. His second half tweaks tightened us up defensively, limited PSG's attacking threat, and ultimately gave us the platform to snatch a late winner. And let's be honest, seeing Darwin bullying defenders and Elliott sealing the deal in the final moments, that's the kind of drama we live for. Now, the job isn't done. PSG are more than capable of turning this around in the second leg, and we'll need to be at our absolute best to finish the job. But for now, let's enjoy this one. A massive away win in the Champions League, a clean sheet, and an advantage heading into the return leg. Can't ask for much more than that, can we? If you enjoyed the breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.